Hello there, my name is Jake and I'm one of the developers at Lazy Friday, and I'm glad to show you a first devlog of a brand new game that I'm making called Ruinborne. It's a combination between both Project Zomboid and, well, a few other zombie games, but I think the best one would be Surrounded. So what you're seeing currently is the lovely first testing scene of the game with a bunch of items that you're able to pick up in an inventory. We have some work in progress, poles and trees and grass. The trees and grass both use a custom shader that I've made, which is essentially a global wind variable that sort of displaces the UVs of the grass and the leaves of the tree. There's a lot more to come to make it a lot nicer, but in due time. The terrain itself uses a thing called Terrain 3D, which is a plugin. I'm going to be using this mostly for everything, region control and optimizations. But it got a lot of work to be done. This is your main character, well, rather the main mesh of the character, which has some lovely blend shapes that you're able to manipulate. The character that you play will be, I guess, randomized every time. You'll be able to create your character, change his shape, change his, well, everything. And you can make him as hideously looking as you want, including whatever this is. God, that's creepy. Anyway, we're just going to ignore the monstrosity that I created there, and we're going to bake the terrain. So this is a zombie game, so we're obviously going to need some AI. And one of the AIs that we have is zombies. You can't actually see them at the moment because the game's not running. The game is multiplayer, and it's worked in Godot 4.4 using the default system with a little bit of additions from myself. One of the main things is that it runs in a dedicated service type of architecture. So if you want to play the game, when you click a single player, it will host a server and join it. If you're playing multiplayer, you can, well, join your friends. There's a lot of work still to be done, and there's going to be a lot of bugs and a lot of glitches, but we can just ignore those for now. So in the game itself, when you launch, I launch two instances, one client, another client, and then there's also a server. So the server is headless, but for some reason the instance it decides to display the server. Don't ask why, don't know why. But anyway, this is a dedicated server that's supposed to be running in headless mode, so there is no renderer. And as you can see, we got two instances open, one of Jimothy A and Jimothy B. I'm just going to change the scene because having these opens can destroy my FPS. So one of the first things to know is that you click play and you sort of enter your, I guess, a name, and then you type in your password and your username. Now these will be server specific. You won't actually, have username and password connected to a main server. It's using the Project Zomboid system where you have a username that you type in and a password, and the server stores that information. So you can have different username and passwords for servers. The reason why I've done this is just to hopefully get out of the Steam architecture or the Steam pipeline and just sort of branch out from Steam. So you can buy it from GOG and Unreal and all that, and not just Steam. But those are works in progress, and I'm not sure exactly how far I'm going to go down that rabbit hole. But a feature that I've added is called saved servers. In here, it has servers that you've saved. Obviously, before you join a server, you would save, and then you'd click join server. You can type in IP addresses. In, I guess, the future, I might have a server browser, depending on how much time and if I want to put into the server browser itself. But for the first devlog, this is where it is. So you can type in your username and password. Obviously, these are username and passwords where I've just slapped my head on the keyboard and it's done some magical numbers. But if you click join server, you'll notice a nice little loading screen and see me in the game. You'll also notice that the zombies are moving around. So this is what I call my grid inventory. The best way to describe it is if you've ever played games like Rust or Tarkov or RPG, JRPG games where you've had grids, even like, well, any game with grid, this is it. So ignore the ones on the right, that's work in progress, and the one on the left is also a work in progress of your equipment screen. But the inventory itself will be dynamic, so these are all dynamically built. We have a custom inventory layout system that I've made. Breaks stuff very quickly, but we're just going to ignore that. But it allows me to define custom inventories with custom sections and allow me to pick up items. As you can see, the zombies like to waddle over to me. So I just picked up 3 shotguns, and you can see I can change, rotate, and manipulate as much as I want. do keep in mind that this is a very early access alpha. I don't even know what you want to call this. A prototype, a vertical slice. So there's going to be bugs, but you can't place things outside. You can only place them inside. You can't place things on top of one another. And unfortunately, in this case, if you try to, place it in another grid outside, the items kind of just disappear sometimes. Don't know why, but it is what it is. But the major thing is that you're able to pick things up and you're able to drop them, and they pretty much stay in the world. So as you can see, there's 3 shotguns there, and I'll go to the next character. So this is Jim Bob number 2. As you can see, the zombies are kissing him and having fun, but all the items have been synced, and I'm able to pick up items. So the animator is not 100% built yet, but I'll fix things up after. As you can see, both grid inventories are completely separate. You can't, drag 2 instances across, but you can see that different inventories exist on different clients. At the moment, the crosshair is kind of just rendered on top of everything, but there's a bunch of bugs, like I said, that need to be solved for Devlog 2. For now, the characters are actually only saving their username and their password across the servers, but those are also not 100%. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to go that way, but that being said, there's still a lot of work of improvement. But I'm hoping to have some type of player saving system where the inventory, the backpacks, and all that are saved, and then it sort of loads it all in at once. But that is in due time. For now, it's just a simple game like this. Pick up the can, and we're just going to go for a little run. So we have crouching, we have proning, there is going to be audio cues, so the quieter you are, the better you are. So zombies won't be as attracted to you. But we also have a swarm system with collision advanced system. So pretty much the max amount of zombies you can have on a server at one time is about 600. But I'm hoping to get that number up even more. But as you can see, the zombies kind of chase you. There's not a huge pack, so they sort of have some collision, but it's not the greatest amount of collision. And they don't really attack you at the moment, and sometimes they forget that you exist. That being said, I hope you've enjoyed the first devlog of Ruinborne, and I hope to see you in the next one, and I wish you all a good night, a good morning, or whatever time it is over there for you when you're watching this. Anyways, see you later.